Hey, howdy, hey, Wildcats and Kittens, and welcome back to our Locker Talk podcast, hosted by Emma and Giselle. This is the second part of us cracking Miss James' locker. So, tune in and listen, what is it like to be Miss James and to do her job as an LTI?
Yeah, wow, that's a lot of processes. You mentioned computer labs, and it's so funny that you brought those up because, for a couple years when I was way younger, when I went to Scottsville, they had a computer lab, but I'm not sure if it's still there. But I never saw it at another school.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that you brought that up.
I don't know that maybe some of the high schools may have some computer labs still that may have some more powerful computing options for some of their photo editing and video editing. But for the most part, I can't think of a middle school that has a computer lab. I guess Mr. Maxwell's class has sort of a mini computer lab with some of the computers that he has there. But in terms of a room that you would go to with your science class or something like that, I don't know that those are really in existence a whole lot anymore. So which I appreciate, it's nice that you guys have that option to have that laptop and that powerful machine. It's right there. It's ready for you. You don't have to. That was the other really tricky thing, is that other teachers didn't understand the calendar. And so you would go in there and think that you had it reserved for that day. And then you'd show up in the computer lab and there'd be somebody else already in there. And then and the teachers are trying to negotiate well, I thought I had it. And I thought I had it.
Yeah.
And all the kids are sitting there who's gonna win this battle, and then if you lose and you're going, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do today with my students, so let's move to a plan B very quickly. So it's definitely a nice addition that we have these one-to-one machines for sure.
Especially this year.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. One of the things that I have had the pleasure of doing just in this role is last spring would meet with a group of, educators from all across the country. And we would be talking about what are your districts doing? What do you have in place? And it made me appreciate so much the plans and the resources that we had available to us prior to, this wide scale building closure, because there were so many schools that I talked to that they didn't have enough machines for every student to have one. And so they were, either making paper packets for everyone, or they were just kind of putting a pause on, from March to June, just going, we don't have the resources to continue educating students. And so I do think that helped us tremendously, that we already had a lot in place. It was not perfect, and it still is not necessarily perfect for every student, but I'm very grateful that we had at least the wheel going and that we were headed in that direction.
As well. You mentioned that you decided to take on your current job because you could work with this, it was kind of similar as teaching, kind of got to do a little bit of both. But what really, you're yes, a LTI would be so cool. What really changed that mindset? Do you miss actually just teaching?
Absolutely. There are definitely times when, because a lot of the things that I do are, it's such a quick thing. It's not necessarily that I'm going to, have this long-term relationship with students. And I feel I've had a couple of students where I've had the pleasure of getting to work with them in multiple classes. And then we really do get to be hey, it's good to see you. How are things going? How is school? And so that piece of it is nice, because it's nice to have some of those relationships that are not academically related. This student that I'm working with, we have a good relationship, and but I'm not giving this student a grade. And so we're able to kind of have that dialogue of hey, I've noticed you haven't been at school recently. Are you doing okay? What do you need help with? Or, I'm hearing from this teacher that maybe you're, missing some work. What can I support you there? But it's definitely a smaller number of students. Whereas when I had my own classroom and we, I was interacting with the same group of students every day, you were able to really build those bonds and those relationships. So I miss that part of it. But I had been at the same school for 12 years, and I was definitely interested in kind of seeing what other ways can I grow and what else can I learn? And I've learned a lot. There's also a lot that I don't know. And the other cool thing is just getting to see all the different schools in the county, because every school sort of has a different personality and different strengths and different students working there. So I have really enjoyed that piece of it, because there's a lot to see and a lot to learn. And I've gotten to be able to do both of those things through this job.
Yes, for sure. And you also said that you went to a lot of different schools. You went to Jewett and you're going to Burley and Walton now. What is that? Is that all the schools, or is there other schools that you taught at?
So those are the main schools that I work with. I actually grew up here. So as a student, I went to Henley and Western. So that was definitely fun. And I haven't had any formal roles at either of those schools yet. But the nature of our job, we certainly work with a lot of different places. And so at the end of every school year, they kind of look at potential changes, and it's not uncommon for us to move around. So, and we often will also support other schools too. If we have another LTI that says, hey, I need some help running this workshop, can you come and do this over here at my school? So we travel a good bit. We go to a lot of different schools, but in terms of assignments, we generally are assigned 1 or 2 schools every year, with the expectation that that'll probably change every couple of years or so.
Yeah. Have you ever done anything with a different school district?
So no, the only job that I've had has been with Albemarle County. Like I said, I grew up here, and it's just sort of one of those places that it's just a great place to grow up and a great place to live, and have definitely enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. So, last year, I think it was like during the world lockdown, you and your daughter made I think it was a poetry week video for WHW, and she was so cute and looked exactly like you. So I'm just curious, tell us a little bit about her. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So actually I have 2 daughters. I actually had a baby right at the beginning of this school year. So my older daughter, who did the poem in our pocket day, is Eliza, and she's 5, and she's in preschool at Free Union. And she they do a ton of stuff outside. That's probably her number one favorite thing to do, is just to be outside on the playground or playing. They have a mud kitchen. That's probably her favorite thing at that school, and loves to read. That's kind of her main things. We're in the middle. We're currently reading the Ramona and Beezus series, and so we're reading that, enjoying it. And then I have an 8-month-old that was born in August, her name's Josie, and she just started crying and is into everything, and has. Yes, she's so cute. It's such a mess, but have been really lucky that we've gotten to hang out for a little bit longer too. So being able to work from home, she's been able to work with me.
Well, that's wonderful. That's all the questions I have for you today, but a little message for our listeners is that before we go, each episode of Locker Talk, we're going to be giving out a letter, a number, or maybe even a symbol to help you guys get the combination of the locker for the end of the year. If you get the correct combination at the end of the year, then you will win a special prize. Today's letter is W. Make sure to write it down and you can win this special prize. Well, Wildcats, that concludes our episode. Make sure to come back next time. And a special thanks to Miss James for meeting with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I can't wait to hear the episode.
And I'm glad we got it checked off your bucket list.
Yes, check. Have a great afternoon, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.